All right. My name is Alan Crosby.
From DeKalb, Illinois. Yeah. So, in the United States, the country I fought for, the country all of my ancestors, from father to father, dating back all the way pre-Revolutionary War era, fought for, the country 18 of my friends, my brothers in arms, violently died beside me for, has been under a form of domestic attack most of the country chooses to ignore, besides, of course, the victims. In our great country, the United States of America, we as a nation allowed in the year 2022 over 10 million domestic sexual assaults, abuse, and murder to go unpunished. That means every minute of every day, last year, 20 women every single minute were victims of mental, physical, and or sexual assault. That is over 10.5 million women in 1 year. And those are just the ones we know about because most victims do not speak out. Since I heard of Gracie's horrific tragic ending, I started a local poll asking women and even some men around DeKalb County if they have been ever a victim of physical, mental, or sexual abuse. Every single woman from college age to retirement age said yes. My wife is a survivor. From age 13 to 17, 4 years, she was basically locked in a room and beaten until unconscious. The wild part is, she has and had an army of tough brothers and cousins that would have saved her without hesitation, but she didn't want them to get into trouble. All right? She was young, she was confused and suffering, until finally she ran and never looked back. Her parents are amazing people, but she hid those bruises and marks from them every day for 4 years. She was living in a literal horror movie. Now, parents of America, I ask you, how many of your daughters are going through that right now? That's a rhetorical question, because the answer is, you don't know. All of our children are at risk. If you have a daughter, there's a 99% chance she will be a victim of domestic or sexual abuse. Before that happens, I ask the good men and women of America to stand with me now. Reportedly, every 9 minutes, a child becomes a victim of sexual abuse. Meanwhile, only 25 out of every 1,000 sex offenders will go to prison. Every 9 minutes, a child. 25 out of 1,000 sexual predators. And those statistics just came out from the CDC. I was a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne. My unit, the 2nd 325, spearheaded the 07 surge into Baghdad, Iraq, where we spent 15 months on the front lines in Sadr City, and we drove into literally hell on earth. On our way to the battlefield, and when we arrived, over 1 million peaceful Iraqi men, women, and children were being murdered by their own people. We came, we saw, we said, no more evil men will be left unchecked. We won that fight. Though we all left some part of us there, and some of us left all. 800 paratroopers against a militant tyrant that brought together all the tribes of Baghdad, equaling numbers upwards of 60,000 hostiles. Why? Why does this matter? That was a war in Iraq. This is politics in the U.S. Different? Kinda. Of course, but hear me out. The morals, the reasonings, the balance, the mission, and especially the patriotism remains the same. When we stand united, Americans can literally accomplish anything. We've made and always will make the impossible possible. We are lucky to live in this beautiful country, truly. Those that don't believe this obviously have not been to too many countries, especially war-torn ones. Our police are and will risk their lives to help you, but you have to let them. We need to scream and keep screaming until our governors, Washington, D.C., congressmen, responds and enacts dramatic changes immediately to protect our children and our women. When it comes to these kinds of violent crimes, the punishment is obviously nowhere near matching, let alone outweighing the crime. Domestic and sexual abuse to adults and children stops now and starts here. Every 4 years in America, we have a revolution. It's called election time. I've started a local peaceful organization called Men Against Monsters at gmail.com. Yeah. That's easier. I call it Men Against Monsters because generation after generation, our women have been fighting these monsters alone. All are welcome to join. Women, of course, we need you and want you to join. But this is to aid you as allies against your fight against monsters. And I quote, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." Edmund Burke. I'm starting this organization, and I'm here to ask the men, straight to your faces, are the only real American men the ones wearing the uniforms of the United States military and the men wearing blue uniforms and badges? I know that answer. If you are an American, most likely you've come from a long line of warriors who fought and gave their lives for the country we take for granted. So I know, as my family has been here since 1636, that this city is full of good men. This nation is full of good men. It's time we be men and protect our families by working within the boundaries of the law and by aiding the police with the information they need to make arrests and untying the hands of our judges so when they strike that gavel, it strikes fear in the hearts and minds of every criminal contemplating harming another one of our children. Remember our forefathers. Remember our history. Remember who we are. To all the victims of these horrendous crimes against humanity like Gracie, Sasso, to all the foreign soldiers who gave their lives with unwavering courage, fighting foreign enemies to ensure our country's freedom and safety like Cody Grayer, I say to you all, and I quote, that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. President Abraham Lincoln, Gettysburg Address. He reminds us that we the people control the government. So to all the politicians, from the smallest villages and cities to all over the compass, across the nation, through every state government, then up the ladder to the federal levels through Congress and straight through the doors of the White House into the Oval Office, let us remind these politicians that we, the people, command you. Make the necessary changes to address and correct these issues now and ensure the safety of our children and women. Because if you do not, you will be replaced. Finally, sorry, but not sorry, Timothy Dow. You are sick. I truly believe that. And the sad part is, there's no cure. So as long as you remain free, our children will be in danger. This court, this state, must make an example out of what happens when you assault our children. We must make it clear to all criminals contemplating murdering and sexually assaulting our children that there will be no exceptions. You get life or lethal injections. Men Against Monsters at gmail.com. Let's make that change. Thank you.